Hi, I'm Amaya Harris, and I would like to welcome you to our Black History program. And we will have a few speakers to share their insight and perspective on Black history, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, we are excited to have you share your perspective with Broome High School. Can you share how your school experiences and life in general led to who you are today?
So my name is Melanie. I've been here in Spartanburg for about 10 years. So I started out in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I did all public schools. So I started out in elementary school, middle school, and then my high school was Orangeburg Wilkinson. And at the time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be as an adult. But my mom and a lot of other strong women in my life were supportive of nursing, and you should pursue a goal that will help others get better. So I feel like that training, along with what I learned in school, I did a lot of the health sciences classes at my technology center. So I had the opportunity to be exposed to health a lot earlier in life, and I believe that's what helped me become who I am today.
That's good. Okay, who or what has been your biggest inspiration in life?
I would say there's several people, but my mom is probably the biggest supporter and source of inspiration for me. She worked hard. She believed in education. She believed in getting higher education, so not just high school, but she pushed me to go get my bachelor's degree as well as my master's degree. Very supportive, very positive, and very upbeat. So my mom is pretty much why I do what I do and who I do it for.
Mine is too.
See? Yes, you understand. Yes, moms are helpful.
My mama and my grandma.
Supportive women. Yes. Supportive women.
Yes. Okay. The theme for Black History Month in 2022 focuses on health and wellness. As African Americans in the healthcare and wellness fields, what contributions impact not just African Americans but all Americans?
So knowing your numbers. This month is also Heart Month, and I am a cardiac nurse. So everything about the heart and blood pressure and diabetes, everything related to those topics are important for me. So when I'm out talking to people in the community, I encourage them to know what their blood pressure numbers are, what's regular for them. I encourage them to check their blood pressures regularly. Knowing their heart history and family history is very important. So if you know that your mom or your dad or your grandparents suffered from heart disease, then you know you have a chance of having those same diseases down the line. So your goal is to prevent all of that. How do we prevent it? We know our numbers, so we know what a good baseline is for us. We look at exercise and diet. We talk about visiting your doctor regularly. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't know your numbers and you won't know when things happen until they do. So I'm all about preventative measures. How can we prevent diabetes? How can we prevent high blood pressure, high cholesterol, not eating fried foods and all that type of thing? So that's a big part of my heart and health wellness for the month of February and for any other months of the year. But Heart Month is very important to me.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. What is your why, which means what is the purpose for what you do as a professional and a person?
My why has changed over the years. So when I first started, I was like, I'm gonna make some good money. I'm a nurse, I can pay all my bills. But as time grew, I grew, and I learned that I wanted to see people do well. So I work in the critical care setting or in the ICU. And in the ICU, we take care of a lot of the sickest of the sick patients. So teaching those families and taking care of those patients kind of became my why. I want them to do well. I want them to live healthier lives, longer lives. So my goal is always to be preventative. How can we prevent an ICU admission? How can we prevent you from coming to the hospital and, possibly having a negative outcome? So my goal is, if we can know better, we can do better.
Yes. I agree with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In closing, what would be the advice you would like to share with our students and community?
I would share that it is very important to have good conversation. I just had a conversation with my mom the other day, and we were talking about why it's important to know your family and who you are, know your background in terms of health history, so that when you're possibly diagnosed with something, it's not a surprise to you. I talked a lot about the importance of education and the importance of informing the community why it's important to know your purpose, know why you're doing what you're doing. I think that sometimes we don't always know. You know, we say, oh, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to do health, I want to be a doctor, but sometimes it's just trial by error. You figure it out when you grow up. I figured it out when I grew up. I wasn't sure I wanted to be a nurse, but it has been the best choice of my life. So, you know, just knowing who you are and figuring out what makes you happy is the best way to go about life.
That's good. That's how I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still like debating if law is what I should do.
Right. It's gonna take time, and don't feel like you have to have an answer when you graduate. But having a good plan is good. So if you know you want to go to college, then full steam ahead with college. If you know you want to go out and do trade, go be the best trader you can be. Just do whatever you do that makes you happy, and do it well.
Yes.
Do it well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure meeting you.
You too.
Hi, my name is Tiara Jimsdale. I'm a 9th grader at Broome High School, and this is...
My name is Terrence Dawkins. I'm a clinical social worker.
Okay. We are excited to have you to share your perspective with Broome High School. Can you share how you feel, how your school experiences and life in general led to who you are today?
Yes. Well, I graduated Broome in 2009. I then, went to college at Winthrop University, where I graduated with a Bachelor's of Social Work degree. I worked for the Department of Social Services for about 2 years, but knew that's not where I wanted to be long term, so decided to go back to get my master's in social work in 2016, and I graduated with that in 2017. Upon graduation, said I wanted to come back home. I'm a family-oriented person, so I came back home and I worked for Prisma Health for about 4 years as a case manager, and also did some counseling while I was getting my clinical social work license, which allowed me to do therapy with individuals. And I got my clinical social work license in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, and it was very stressful because I had to reschedule the test like 2 times because of COVID. But I got that, and then currently I work for University of Upstate doing counseling with the students on campus, and I also have a private practice called Missing Pieces Counseling Services. But my high school career kind of helped mold me to receive all those accomplishments, because believe it or not, I'm an introvert, but it might not seem that way. So I got involved in different things like student government, FCA, played basketball, so different things like that. But what really encouraged me was a particular teacher, Pam Peeler. She kind of forced me to be uncomfortable with situations, meaning she forced me to be like the vice president for student government. She was like, hey, I want you to go to this program, I want you to do this. So it got me engaged in school. And she also made me say the Pledge of Allegiance at graduation, which at the time public speaking was not my thing. So she got me comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, and community service. All those things kind of helped me get into college and just set the tone for me to get involved in different things.
Who or what has been your biggest inspiration in life?
I have a few people. I'll start with my mom, because I'm the youngest of 3 children, and she pretty much raised us by herself. And so she would work 3rd shift and call us to wake us up to go to school, and it was always, you better not be home when I get home, because she get off at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we better not miss that bus. So my mom's my biggest inspiration, mainly because her work ethic, how she takes responsibility for not only us but our own whole family. She taught me the importance of family, taught me the importance of caring for other people, and just being dependable. And that's something that, I try to take those qualities with me wherever I go. The second person would be my cousin, Junior Salters. He also graduated from Broome High School in 2005, but also he played basketball, and he lived right directly beside me. So we grew up together. We went outside to ride bikes. My whole day was spent mainly with him. And so seeing the great accomplishments that he's had kind of challenged me to have similar accomplishments and to push myself. And even today, our relationship has gotten stronger for the simple fact that we continue to challenge each other even though we're adults. He's one of my inspirations. And then the third one, again, would be Pam Peeler, because she got me out of my comfort zone while I was in high school. She allowed me to experience things that I probably wouldn't experience if I just had the option of my own. And we still stay in contact now, and she always tells me how proud she is of me. We actually share the same birthday, so I always tell her happy birthday. So she just was that person that, while I was in the school environment, helped keep me on track. So those are my biggest inspirations so far.
The theme for Black History Month in 2022 focused on health and wellness. As African Americans in the healthcare and wellness fields, what contributions impact not just African Americans but all Americans?
So I'm a clinical social worker, so my primary responsibility, I can do different professions within my degree, but I've chose to do therapy for the simple fact that I think even with a diagnosis or not, many individuals can benefit from some type of counseling and therapy, because it's hard to process things. It's hard to think about different aspects of a situation on your own, right? Because you're biased. You see it one-dimensional. So with therapy, I've seen individuals from people with depression, anxiety, ADHD, bipolar disorder. I've actually seen some people with schizophrenia, but it's a whole different diagnosis that I've seen, and just recognizing that they're struggling, and it's not easy to ask for help. And when those people ask for help, or even if they don't ask for help and they're mandated to come, I want to be that person that they can feel comfortable with, so they can express their frustrations and be like, hey, I need some assistance. But while I was working in a hospital, my primary responsibility was the emergency department. And some trends that I started to see in the emergency department was individuals coming in on drug abuse. They were homeless. I actually seen some adolescents coming in from high school or middle school, or even as early as elementary school, with suicidal ideations, with suicide attempts, cutting behaviors, other self-harm behaviors. And it just shows that there are people out here that are struggling and they need help. And I wanted to be that person that provide that help with different strategies that we learned in therapy, but also by utilizing, I guess, my own qualities, which I like to do. I like humor, so I like to make people laugh, showing compassion, trying to empower them to use the skills that they already have, but to amplify them so that they feel like they can do it on their own.
What is your why? Which means, what is the purpose for what you do as a professional and a
Well, growing up, so I'm the youngest of three. At first, we didn't live in the best neighborhood at first. I really didn't have a relationship with my father. So what kind of drove me was sometimes seeing my mom down, right? So she's seeing her upset or not really talking or communicating. And at the time, being a young kid, you don't know exactly what's going on. So you just keep on going. And then when I got older, I started to realize that she was really struggling with some things that she didn't want us as her children to know. But now that I know that, it kind of helped me realize that there are people out here struggling, and that it impacts different people in their lives or different systems in their lives. And in order for, I guess, it not to directly impact or indirectly impact people, that person needs help. And I want to be that person that helps someone in order to help get past those difficult times, whether that's struggling with emotions, whether that's emotional distress, whether that's anger, frustration, depression. Therapy isn't really difficult. We like to teach different skills that might seem simple, but it's things that people do on autopilot. So my why is helping those individuals. And in college, I actually struggled myself. I was experiencing a dark time, and it was just hard to try to get past that moment. And I wanted to try to understand myself and try to help myself. So I continued to try to educate myself about different things. And the thing about our emotions is we experience them our whole lives, right? So it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, you're still going to struggle at times. So what I decided to do is teach myself, but also use that to teach others so that they can help get past those difficult times in life.
In closing, what would be the advice you would like to share with our students and community?
Now that's a loaded question because there's different things I think I've learned throughout my career that I wish other people would know, or wish someone would have told me when I was coming up, through high school or college. But I think one of the most important is being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So we have experiences that we might shy away from because we're uncomfortable, because we're afraid of the outcome, we're afraid of judgment, we're afraid of fear. It can be a whole bunch of different things that we're afraid of. But when those opportunities come, I say don't shy away from being uncomfortable, because when you challenge yourself and be in those uncomfortable situations, you ultimately grow, right? Nobody wants to stay stagnant. We all have dreams, we all have aspirations. So experiencing those uncomfortable moments will only help you in the long run. And I also like to say this, you see people out here writing books, right? You see people out here making movies, movie directors. And you might not think of yourself as an artist or an author or a movie director, but you actually are. And I say that not because you make movies, not because you've written a whole bunch of books, but because you are an author, you're a director of your life, right? So you have the ability to change what you do not like. Nobody else can change it for you. So be that author, write your own story, be that director, make your own movie, or be that artist, paint your own picture of what your life will be.
That's all I have today. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our guests for coming to Broome High School and sharing their information. We hope that the information that they shared to us will provide insight. We just want you to remember that Black History Month is not just Black history, it is American history.